When a teacher is ready to create a CFA in EADMS, what they'll need to do after logging on is click on the Create Test icon. From there, they'll have to enter some information about the assessment. And the first thing they'll want to do is make sure they choose Teacher Test at the top of the page. It will default to the Common Core State Standards. They can choose their content area, their grade level, and then they will have to give the test a name. So I'm going to name it by the standard that we're going to be looking at today, adding and subtracting decimals to 100. You also have to give it a short name, and that just helps teachers to find those assessments more quickly. And then they'll want to make sure they choose this online only. So that will give them both technology enhanced item questions as well as print options. And then they're going to choose create a test from the item bank. Once they get into the next page, they're going to again have some different options from where they'd like to choose those questions. So they can look at items or they can look at performance tasks depending on what they're measuring. They can look at all item banks or they can narrow it down. And for this purpose, I'm only going to be looking at the Fluence item banks. Again, it will take some of the information we entered on the first page and bring it over to the second page. So you can see our Common Core State Standards, math, and fifth grade are still selected. I'm going to go ahead and choose number and operations in base 10 since that is the group from which our standard comes. And what that's going to help me do is narrow down my standard choices when I make my next selection. So right here, I am going to find standard 5 NBT 0.7. And once I've selected that, I can also look for various item types if I'd like. This will probably come later as your teachers get more familiar with using the item bank. And I can also search by depth of knowledge. I'm not going to choose anything at this point in time, however. And then I'm going to click Show Items and Questions. Once those load up, I can scroll down on my page and I'm now looking at the 76 items that I can choose from. So right now we're just focusing on the addition and subtraction part of that standard, not the multiplication and division part. So teachers will want to make sure they're paying attention to that so that they're only covering the targets that they had addressed in class. So I can go through and I can choose my different questions. Again, they're going to want to read these over, make sure it's really asking what they want them to ask, what they want the students to show their knowledge of. And after I've selected the appropriate number of questions, then what I will do is I will go up and click on this Add All Checked button. From there, what it's going to do is it's going to take those questions from the item bank that I had checked off and it's going to add them to my assessment. And over here along the left-hand side, you can see I now have these 5 questions added to my assessment. From here, I can go through and add more, or I can finish this assessment. So up here at the top, I would click on Go to Step 2 if I feel my assessment is complete. And it's going to give me a preview of what my assessment looks like. So I can, if I want to renumber these, I can do that simply by a drag and drop. And then update my item order. If I've determined that this isn't enough, I can add more items as well. I can also delete items that maybe after looking at them, I've decided that they are not appropriate for what I need the students to show me. And once I'm done, I would click Save and Finish. From there, it's going to take you to the general information about the assessment, and you can finalize it, you can make some final changes, and determine what you want to do. So I'm going to click on Finalize. And it asks me if I'm sure I want to finalize because it can no longer be edited once you hit that finalize button. So I'm going to click OK. And my assessment is now ready to share and schedule with my colleagues.